أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Assalamu alaikum, my brothers in Islam. In this video I am going to discuss briefly a very important observation by Salafis Center in Manchester, in which they sent a reminder that there are those who belittle students, elder students, because they are not graduates. This clarification was issued by Sheikh Abu Idris, where he quoted Imam Muhammad ibn Salih al-Uthaymi, trying to honor and protect those Muslim scholars without was an education. It is actually an issue that I had experienced in my country, Nigeria. Generally, a Muslim believer interested in Islam and had the opportunity to buy Islamic books is well versed in the history of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his Sahabas, and also Tawheed. These books have been beautifully written, or these topics have been beautifully written in English language, and because of the assumption that the scholars without Western education are versed in Islam, I did not take interest in reading Islamic books on the Sharia, on the Sunnah rather. So we joined Taqlīd blindly. But as time passes, because of the intention of Allah, Taqdir and Mashi'a and Irada, He saw what is in my heart is pure. I began to understand from those books I read. For example, there is translation of Ihya Ulumuddin in English language. I bought it. Virtually all the books translated in English language, I possess them. But they don't drive you, they don't explain to you in detail, in the minutest. You can't explain, you can't understand actually unless you learn Arabic language. So as time goes on, we begin to question the understanding of these scholars. Do they actually understand the Sunnah? They don't understand the Sunnah at all, because they read very limited books. Very limited books. In my country is Ishmawi, Izziya, Risala, and other things. None of them can afford to buy sharh of other books. But we have in English language a translation of Bukhari, Muslim, especially Muslim, because it has got sharh. Bukhari, there is no sharh, and Mishkat, and other books on hadith, but there's no detailed explanation of Nahaw. So if you try to explain to them this is wrong, they will resist you. That who are you? You can't read Arabic, so who are you to say this is part of the Sunnah? They will reject it. So the main problem is those without Western education, which I feel if they had known what Islam is, they will never agree to separate Islam, the Sunnah, the science. Because the Holy Qur'an should be understood to consist of two portions, the Mecca and the Medina portions. The Medina portions are only explained by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam because that is part of his sole responsibility to explain what is ad-deen is. The Mecca portions, as he said, that is your own responsibility. It is not me. In Mecca he had no school. But Medina, definitely, he had a school. Dealing with what? Worshipping Allah. Physical exercise, demonstration, practical application. Now, this is what is lacking. The translation of theory into practice, into practical lessons. This is what is lacking in the local Muslim scholars. And if they don't agree or believe that somebody with Western education should know the Sunnah. So that's what triggered me, because I learned Arabic language and I kept on reading, as I said. Arabic, English, like Abdullah Yusuf Ali and other books, Arabic, English. But we were not interested in learning in-depth Arabic language. So when I began to read in Arabic, no scholar agreed with me. I was portrayed as a shaitan, arrogant scholar, because I had Western education. Now, if you trace back our main problem, I'm sorry to bring this example. What I trying to portray is that the local scholars that was in education don't have the practical urge to establish the caliphate. They don't have the practical urge, understanding that caliphate is essential in the teaching of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they cannot compromise it. Now look at Abdul Wahab, what he did. He said he will be responsible for fatwa, and then Abdul Aziz, the governance. It's wrong. You can't separate the two. Al-ulama warathatul anbiya. Now, anywhere that is the platform of the local scholars. So that is our main problem. Why we look down upon scholars who are not graduates, who don't have certificates, because there's no certification. Well, that is what they call allowance. You are permitted, you go and read, but you read without practical. Let me ask you one question. Who has ever measured Zawal from sunrise to sunset? Who has ever measured it? Which school in Medina or Mecca or anywhere where they taught the children or they are taught a Muslim how to measure Zawal, to understand precisely Zuhr and Asr prayer? Never. Look at even this distinguishing reality between Friday prayer and the Zuhr prayer. They don't understand. So that's our greatest problem. They lack practical ability. And the last idea or the last argument is Islam is based on practical understanding. Islam is based on practical understanding, like Sharia, the way to the watering place. You think they don't understand it? It's built on two professions, farming and livestock keeping. So what I'm saying, what is Madham Matani? It's photosynthesis. So what is, take verse 5, Surah Al-Hajj, that is medicine. So our problem is, let the local scholars be able to support those with Western education when they call for the establishment of the Sharia, but not to deny it and reject it, and then to prefer those actually without the knowledge of Islam, because it's not everyone with Western education that understands Islam, that had the interest to read. Now the last argument I want to is, on the 23rd of Safar, that's 5 years ago, 1439, I sent my 2 books to the Imam, Manchester Central Mosque and Islamic Culture, 20 Upper Park Road, Manchester M14 5RU, through my nephew, but then a PhD degree student. With my email, even the courtesy to read. The courtesy to read. Reply me through my email, my mistakes, so that I will enter paradise. They refuse to. On 2 important pillars of Islam, prayer and fasting. So look at this. Why? That means we are not ready to unite and then become an Umma. Why? There's nothing that will unite us to become an Ummah unless we give freedom to understanding the mistakes of the past and correcting them. So the problem of scholars that was the education is they cannot filtrate, they cannot understand they cannot put into practice the Sunnah of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So please let us correct it. Let them respect us and listen to us. Assalamu alaikum.